Alright, welcome back for Lab 6. Hopefully you literally just stopped the Lab 5 video and moved on to this one. We're going to take the title block we created in Lab 5 and do our Lab 6 drawing. So first things first, let's take a look at what Lab 6's drawing entails. I need to find Chrome. There we go. Oh, that's my presenter view. Close that. I don't need that anymore. Here we go. Close that. Go to the workbook. Okay. So we did Lab 5, which was our title block. Now let's take a look at Lab 6. Here it is. And Lab 6 is very simple. This shouldn't take very long at all. The main difference is that this is the first time not only are you using the drafting tools to create your assignment, but it's the first time that we're going to actually be measuring, and you need to be accurate with it when it comes to the drawing that we're creating. But with your T-square and your scale and your triangles and your erasing tools, this should be pretty simple to do. So let's take a look at how we're going to go through this. Sorry about that, my dog's prescription's ready. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw this on our Lab 5 paper. This is going to be Lab 6, that's why we called it Lab 6. And let's take a look at this. Like I was telling you just a second ago before, well, it was just a second for you. I had a phone call in between that you didn't get to hear. We're going to draw this shape. Not hard at all. It's just the first time that we're actually employing the measuring practice that we did and the drawing construction with the drafting tools. So I'm just going to use my 45-degree triangle. It's a little bit easier to manage for this. And let's see. I'm going to take this. Let's shrink that down just a little bit. And here. And here. Go. I'll move that up in the corner. Alright. So Lab 6 is going to take place here. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that especially if you have the printed copy of the book in front of you, this is much larger than what we're about to put on the paper. And that's intentional. All of the drawings in the workbook are not printed at the size that you're going to draw them. The reasoning for that is that it makes it harder for you to, or not you, but it makes it harder for somebody who may want to take a shortcut to finish our assignments to do so. All right, so first things first. When it comes to technical drawings, the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we have centered our drawings in the space that we're working in. So if we look at this, according to the drawing itself, it has an overall width of 3 inches and an overall height of 2 inches. Okay, so how does that help us figuring out where we're going to center it on here? First things first is we have to find out how wide our paper is, which I'm just going to tell you. It's 11 inches wide. You can find that out just the same as taking your scale, lining up and measuring. So if we look here, 0 is on the edge of my paper, 11 is on the other edge. I'm going to come in and find the center of that. What's the half of 11? It's 5.5 inches. So I've found 5. The halfway mark, and I'm going to put a little mark right there. Now it's a little bit trickier to find the vertical height of our page, and it's only tricky because, well, for one, if we were to center it based on the 8.5 inches that our paper is, it wouldn't be centered properly because of our title block. So we want to measure the space between the top of our title block and the top of border line. Now for this one, I am going to use my 45-degree triangle because it's the only one that's long enough. And I'm going to line my T-square nice and tight against the side of my board up with the top of my title block line, just so. Using this particular triangle, my 0 mark is all the way down here at the actual flat edge of the triangle. If I was using my Westcott 45-degree, that's not the truth. The truth is that 0 is right here at the top of this cutout. Or it's not even a cutout, but the visual cutout. So pay attention to your tools and make sure that you're using the right stuff. So, there we go. I've got my scale tied against the bottom, tied against the side of the board. It's aligned up with the top of my title block. And my measurement here is telling me that this is near enough to 7 3/4 of an inch. Okay? So what's half of 7 3/4? Well, first off, the fraction's pretty easy to figure out. 7 3/4, half of 3/4 is, oh, right. Half of 3/4 is 3, or excuse me. 3, oh my gosh, brain. My brain literally took a holiday there. 3/8. Wow. Okay. No explanation for that brain fart. Half of 3/4 is 3/8, right? So what's half of 7? 3.5. So we're going to take 3.5 plus 3/8. The easiest way to add fractions together is to make the denominator or the numerator the same. So we're going to go 3, let's see here. If we double a half, that's going to be 2/4. That's not enough. So 4/8. So 3 4/8 plus 3 over 8 is going to be what? 7/8. 3 7/8 is the measurement that we're looking for, right? So I'm going to come up here, 1, 2, 3, and find 7/8, which actually is really close to the mark I initially made. And then, so what I'm going to do is just go lightly, very lightly, draw a mark here at the center point of my drawing. Okay, nice plus shape right there. Can hardly see it. That's the point. You don't want to see it. Once I have that, we're going to go back to our drawing like I was talking about just where we started this conversation. And we're going to look at the width first. The width is 3 inches, right? The height is 2. So you can choose which direction you want to go first for this. I'm going to choose the height, I think. That'll be the easiest for me to work with, since half of 2 is 1, right? So because of the placement of the document camera here, I can't move my triangle up anymore. So I'm going to burn an inch here. Remember, T-square tied against the board, triangle tied against the T-square, and I have now lined up my 2-inch mark with my horizontal bar of my plus shape here. And I'm going to come from the 2-inch, I'm going to come down and make a mark at 1 inch, and I'm going to come up and make a mark at 3 inches. Okay? Once I've done that, I'm going to draw a line at the top of the bottom that I know is longer than I need it to be. Now, you can go through and measure that right now, but I find this method is faster, especially here at the beginning. So now, I'm going to take my square, or my scale. I don't know why I can't talk today either. I can't math and I can't talk. This is a great day to do a video. And I'm going to find half of 3. Okay, so if you take 3 divided by 2, you get 1.5. Hopefully we came up with the same number there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 1.5 inches on my scale. It's kind of hard to see, but come on, focus. You going to focus? Not going to focus, are you? There we go. All right, so I have my scale sitting on the line I drew. I have 1.5 inches right here on my mark, And I'm going to make a mark at 0 and a mark at 3. But before I move this, I'm going to take a look at my drawing and see if there's something else I can do right now as well. If I look at it, up here at the top, you're going to see that we know right here that each of these vertical lines are 3/4 or 0.75 of an inch from the edge. Now I could do this later, but it's going to save me time if I go ahead and do this now. So starting at 0, I'm going to come up 1/4, 2/4, 3/4 and make a mark. And I'll come over to 3 and count backwards. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and I'm going to make a mark. So now I have these 5 dots here, right? We're going to ignore this one. This one's not important to us anymore. That's just showing us where the center is. And now, because we've drawn both of our vertical lines, and we've already measured the distance, I don't even need to measure anything right this second. I can put my pencil on a dot and carry it top to bottom. And I'm going to do this for all 4 of the dots we made after finding the center. We don't want to connect the center dot top to bottom. Remember, this whole time I am keeping my T-square nice and tight against the side of my board. I'm also keeping my triangle nice and tight to my scale. Alright, so we've got a lot of slop here we have to clean up, but we can do that later. Right now, though, we have most of our drawing done. We just have to do these sections right here. And this is telling us that they are 1.5 inches from the bottom and the top line, respectively. Which we could also deduce means that they're 1/2 inch from this line in this little square here. You can measure this whichever way you want. In order to help stop confusion, though, I'm going to recommend that you follow what the drawing says. So I'm going to move this up here so that my 0 mark is on the line. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make a dot 1.5 inches from the top. So let's see here. Ooh, interesting. Do we have a measurement discrepancy? Oh, we do. What caused that? I wonder. Let's take a look. 1 inch, 2 inches to the top's fine. Apparently, I messed up where the bottom line goes. So it didn't really affect anything overall. It was an easy fix that I can erase. But you do need to pay attention and make sure that you double check everything. My biggest problem right now is something called parallax. We've talked about this a little bit before. It's a key term we've defined. But if you don't recall, parallax is when you're looking through a transparent surface and it can bend where the line below it is visible. Okay, it can magnify it, it can twist it. In this case, that's what happened to me because I am trying my best not to stick my head underneath the camera to help with this drawing, so that's kind of part of the reason that happened. But anyway, I've identified it and we fixed it. So, alright, I've got 2 inches lined up here at the top. I'm going to come down 1.5 inches and make a mark. And then I'm going to realize that I did that on the wrong side. So I'm going to do it over here. 2 inches down from the top, 1.5 inch over, and make a mark. On this side, same thing. I've got my 0 lined up down here. I'm going to come up 1.5 inches, make a mark. And then all I have to do is use my scale, or my T-square. I'll put my pencil on the dot, put my pencil on the dot, and there we go. Our entire drawing is done other than doing some cleanup. Don't erase this center mark entirely, but do scale it down a little bit if it is connecting with any of the lines. Get rid of the dots. If you can still see them, clean up my mistake there. I'm going to use my erasing shield here to clean this mess up. There we go. This side, remember, I'm covering the pencil marks I want to keep. Clean up the corners. Clean up this corner. Now, I could tell you that the mistakes I made were on purpose and that I'm really just, a perfect draftsman who's making mistakes to show you that everybody makes mistakes. But that's not true. I am legitimately just having an off day here at the moment. But once you have everything erased, if some of your lines have gotten mucked up a little bit, I probably shouldn't say that. It sounds like something else. Messed up. Go ahead and erase them and go back over them and draw them out so it looks like this. And when you're done, I'm going to zoom this out. Oh, right. Zoom is not the problem. I physically bent the camera arm. You should have a drawing that looks like this. And this is Lab 6. So go ahead and take the board off. One thing I can tell you about this tape is to grab a corner and then roll it. There we go. Roll it off your paper. That way we don't tear the corners. So just like that. Sometimes your drafting tools will attempt to roll the tape up off for you. You just have to be careful that that doesn't happen, especially with T-square. But once you have them all and it's free, take this picture and turn it into both Lab 5 and Lab 6. If you have any questions, be sure to shoot me a message through Canvas and I will answer as I can. I am at a conference for the next till Wednesday of this week. So, again. All right, good job.